Hey, it's event producer Josh Schoenwolf, and you're listening to Philadelphia's hottest inspirational talk show, Millennial High, hosted by the amazing tia-shashai.
It's your girl, tia-shashai, the host of Millennial High, where the trend-setting millennial comes for motivation, inspiration, and deep conversation. Today's show is our first show of 2018. I've been on hiatus a little bit.
2018!
Yeah. That's my girl, Marcel, because what better way to kick off the first show of 2018 but to have my girl co-hosting, Marcel C. What's up, girl?
It's me. I'm back. We're back. Tia, we're back.
I know. So in 2017, I had Marcel on numerous times, but I would say our most responded, talked about show was a show that we had about intimate conversations. I called it Intimate Conversations with Marcel. So this is going to be Intimate Conversations Part 2 because it seems like you like Part 2. It seems like you like when we open up. Yeah, when we're intimate. So we're going to be talking about some really cool things. But first and foremost, it's the beginning of the new year. Everyone's getting their life together again.
Again, right, exactly.
Every new year, you get your life together. Because it seems to
January 1st, right? My life is going to be everything that I thought it was going to be.
So we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions as opposed to setting intentions. Okay. And how we think, and actually not even think, we know that intention setting will get you further than just setting the typical New Year's resolution.
Exactly.
Yes. And then we're going to talk about our intentions for 2018, our highlights of 2017, some really cool things that happened to us in 2017 that we're grateful, thankful for. And our Trendsetter segment, highlighting people, music, ideas, and events that are on the leading edge. We'll hear from the beautiful, multi-talented. This girl can sing. She can do make. She's just absolutely amazing. So cute. Sara Flail. She's our beauty guru. And that's another thing I wanted to do this year too. Is a little bit more collaborations with other creatives out there. So Sara Flail is our first, which is awesome. She's so awesome, and she'll share with us winter beauty tips and tricks. I'm saying it's her winter survivor guide. I can't wait to listen because I know Marcel just showed me a video about Oprah Winfrey talking to Gail. We all know who Gail, her best friend, getting ready for the Golden Globes. What did she say?
She played her out because she was showing off her dress. And so she happened to turn around and Oprah noticed that she had ashy elbows. So instead of being discreet about it, she said, "Girl, you got some Ash Wednesday on those elbows."
Right. It was funny.
And she had to get cream.
So one thing Sarah's going to give really great tips about how to stay moisturized and just keeping your skin nice and dewy and glowy.
Oh, I love.
Oh, I know, girl. Dewy. Okay, we'll let her talk about it. We'll let her talk about it.
We could talk
Let's
for days.
Get to setting the mood for the show. Mm-hmm. So I'm keeping that this year for Millennial High. I don't know if you heard, but I have a new intro music thanks to Marty Kraswanis.
I love it.
Awesome composer. And it was so interesting because I'm I want to do something different because before my intro was the Nina Simone Feeling Good. It was just the beginning of that song. But I'm I want something, original, my own music. How can I do this? And he's like, Tia, I'm a composer. I'm oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So I sat with Marty a few times, and I know I gave him a couple headaches, but, what he produced is absolutely amazing.
Love it, girl. It is so upbeat, and it goes with their personality. Yeah. It is perfection. That's what it is, perfection.
Now, another upbeat music soundtrack that we love, that Marcel and I, we've talked about this since break. Like, it came out. It's called The Greatest Showman. And I'm going to play a track because that's going to set the mood of the show, the tone of the show. It is The Greatest Show. It's the first track. And I don't know if you saw The Greatest Showman. It's a musical movie.
Yes. With Hugh Jackman, Zendaya,
Zac Efron,
who I love.
Yeah.
All those. And and Michelle Williams, who knew she could sing.
I know. And she was really great. She's really so beautiful. Good. I'm like, wow, she's really pretty.
They all shocked me, actually.
So The Greatest Show. I'm going to play that. And then we are going to come back and we're going to talk about intention setting, play Sara Flail's winter survival guide tips, and we will talk to you soon. But listen to this. This song is so good. If you don't get up and start dancing, then there's something wrong. So here we go. The Greatest Show. Oh, I love that song.
So do I.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to 106.5 FM. I'm your host, tia-shashai. I have my girl, Marcel C, in the studio with me. And you're listening to The Greatest Show from the Greatest Showman soundtrack.
Can I just tell you, Tia, that my daughter and I love this. We blast the music all the time. And the other day I was in the kitchen dancing, and she says to me, Mom, you're dancing like Tia.
What does that mean?
That's what I said. Stay back, and what does that mean? What do you mean I'm dancing like Tia? Mom, you just keep dancing like Tia. So I don't know if that's a good thing or what, but all I know is that I was moving things that I have never moved before to this song. So
I haven't danced like that in a long time, so I don't know where she's Your 5-year-old daughter remembers how I dance. Interesting. She's so cute. I know. I love her. She's so cute, Reagan. So today's show is all about setting intentions for 2018 as opposed to New Year's resolutions. But let's just start out with talking about our highlights from 2017. And it's so funny because Marcel reminded me of one big highlight I had, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about
the biggest highlight,
which is this show.
Yeah. By the way,
she's like, Tia, you started your show in 2017. I'm like, I did? I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, by the way.
Ridiculous. So I would say, Marcel, let's start with you.
Okay.
What are some of your highlights from 2017?
Okay, so I started off the year doing the spring catalog for QVC, which was fabulous, right? I just never got a copy of that catalog. Then I did some of the commercials I did were Tower Health. I threw in an Xfinity commercial in there somewhere, which has yet to air, by the way. I'm waiting for it.
I can't wait. Because, Xfinity commercials are all over the place.
Why do they take so long?
I don't know.
But then I ended my year again with QVC. I did a little video spot for them as well. So started the year with QVC, ended the year with QVC. Maybe I can start the year again 2018 with QVC.
Maybe. They love you.
Or more.
So for me, I would say first and foremost is the show, Millennial High.
Now you would say that? Yeah. No,
I remember this show has been something that was just an idea, like a thought. And I strategically planned kind of and put myself into different environments that will help me or propel me.
So you'd say your intention.
Yeah, that was my intention. My intention was to have my own show. And honestly, I didn't know what that would look like, what that sound like, what would that be. I just know that I intended have my own show one day. That was it. And then it ended up being Millennial High. And I always thought it was going to be more on the TV side.
Right. Right. Well, you always got to start somewhere.
Yeah, you always got to start somewhere. Then I had my first workshop with Moguls of Media. So it was a back to business workshop series. And it was like a sold out workshop series, which I was really super proud about. Marcel was there. I love her.
I loved it.
Yeah. And it was great. So that was another highlight. Also, I secured a really great place in the city, which I forgot about too. Wow, a lot of stuff has been happening right now.
A lot of fabulous stuff. Tia, how did we forget this?
I don't know. Because you know what? Let me tell you, and this is so interesting because it's like we don't give ourselves enough credit. Like while you're living the life, like what is that saying? It's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame.
I got you.
Because for me, it's kind of like I until Marcel said, Tia, okay, your show was in 2017. I'm just thinking I'm so used to having a show that I forgot. Yeah, that was a major step in my life.
Right.
was doing this and stepping out of a shell, because I would say 2 years ago I was just talking about it. Now I'm doing it.
And you're doing it.
And that's so awesome.
I remember when you were just talking about it. I do. I remember. I mean, you were excited. I love that you are so motivated, because you and I, whenever we talk, all of a sudden brings back all of this motivation. And I just loved hearing about this radio show that you were once going to get. At first, I was like, Tia.
Right?
Tia. Come on, Tia. Everybody wants to be on the radio, on TV. But this girl is destined for stardom. I just know it.
So
and you have that voice.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so now let's get to business.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So one thing that I think is important to start out with is New Year's, like the difference between a resolution and an intention. So me and Michelle were talking earlier, and basically what we were saying is, for a New Year's resolution, you're like, okay, well, I want to lose 30 pounds this year. I'm going to lose 30 pounds by, June for my summer beach body babe thing.
Yeah, it seems to be everybody's resolution.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but and that's kind of, some people make it, some people don't, right? And it kind of like trips you up, especially after May's here and you've only lost 5 pounds
or none, right?
Or
exactly,
none.
right. And you're not where
Or
you
gained
exactly
5.
thought you'd be.
But setting an intention is more like, you know what? I intend to live a healthier lifestyle in 2018. And then you live a healthier lifestyle. Okay, well, I'm not going to eat that Snickers or, or something like that.
So
or
you being healthier will actually lead to losing the weight.
To that. And
just
it's
not gonna have
not
where you're
setting you up
disappointed.
for failure,
Right,
because
exactly.
that's why a lot of us don't. That's why a lot of us set the intention. Like, what they say? They say that the gym memberships are so high. There's so many people in the gym the month of January and February.
Yeah, right.
But
that you
once
can't even
March
get a membership.
hits, there's like it's the same people that have been going the year before. They're
the
still
true
there.
gym addicts,
the
right.
true gym addicts. But now, because why does that happen? And I think that we set ourselves up for failure when we're too specific on our goal.
Exactly. Yep. And then I feel like if it's not something that you're motivated about as well, I mean, everybody wants to. Sometimes I set a resolution and it's just anything, just to have a resolution. I mean, I don't have anything that's going to lead me to get to that resolution. It's just something that I set because that's what you do on New Year's. You set a resolution. So I've already set myself up for failure because I have no way of getting myself there. But with an intention, I do believe that you're correct. You are correct, girl.
So for one article that I read over, this is what I love to do. And I know, like, they say we should step away from our screens a little bit, like our phones and but there's
I'm heartbroken about that.
Yeah, but the information that I have like coming to my inbox, like you can curate your inbox, right? Because you can subscribe to certain things or not.
Right.
So mine's is kind of curated to what I know will like propel me to greatness. So there's this one lady, I love her. Her name is Lisa Natoli. So she talks about what 4 things that kind of stop us from achieving what we want to achieve in the beginning of the year.
Oh, that's
right.
huge.
So it says it's 4 things that stop people from being alive, bold, and happy. So let's talk about that a little bit. So the first is discomfort, right? So it's the same thing like when you know that, okay, for instance, she talks about weight loss. So let's just stick with that for this one. So it's just like, that you should, do a couple jumping jacks, like 10, maybe they say 30 minutes of exercise is the best, right? 30 minutes of exercise a day. Oh. Just 30 minutes of some type of exercise, whether it be
I
jogging.
don't even think I do 30 minutes in a month.
Exactly. But what's stopping us? Because honestly, It's not like we don't have it. We have the time.
And we know we should.
But she's saying that one key to stopping us is discomfort, because it's the sweat. It's the fact that you actually have to exert energy.
Right.
And
get up and go and...
Get up and go, or you find I find the best excuses. I don't have anything to wear.
To the gym, or in your house on your own treadmill. I don't have anything to wear.
I don't have anything to wear. Oh, I don't like these sneakers. I don't have the right sneakers. I need running sneakers.
I know exactly what they're talking about when she says discomfort, because that QVC spring catalog that I did, I remember showing up, and these were with girls who are stick thin, and I at the time was not, and I just was not feeling good about myself. Mm-hmm. And I remember going in there and just feeling so defeated in that moment. And I remember texting you and being like, Tia, I think I'm going to get up and walk out of here. And I was this close of leaving because I was so uncomfortable in my own skin. I felt that discomfort. I wanted to leave. Yeah. Thankfully, you made me stay, and I stayed, and the outcome was fabulous. But I know exactly what she's talking about.
And it's pushing through that discomfort, right? And then what I like is this thing. It's kind of like this story. It's like what happened. So there was a study about what happens when you put a frog in water storage. Did you ever hear about that?
No.
Okay, so this was a test, and honestly, like when I read this, I'm thinking like, oh, I feel so bad for the frog, but because it's kind of mean, but it shows a point. So if you throw a frog in a pot of boiling water, it will jump out. Right? It'll jump out. If you put a frog in cold water with the heat on, it will just sit there until it dies. Oh. So it's saying, in these studies, if the water is heated too quickly, the frog will jump out. And that's why often in our life, there are events that push us and move us to change, like a loss of a job, a death of a loved one, a sickness, some type of tragedy. That's that hot boiling water that we're putting in it and we'll jump out. We're going to change. But the majority of life is not like that, right? The majority of life, the heat is not turned up quickly, and we just sit in our lives not moving. You get what I'm saying?
You just fester.
You just fester.
It's almost like you settle.
And that's exactly what it is. You settle, right? Because you don't, like, it's just because it's not uncomfortable enough to do something, to make a change. So the next thing she talks about is fear of failure. That's a huge one.
That is a big one. I mean, that's a huge one for me. I know it is. Nobody wants to be even told or even, I mean, my nightmare is hearing from my mother and being like, you didn't do what you said you were going to do. I don't know. I can't even explain how I feel about this, but it's so true. I can't even explain how I feel about it. I can't.
It's something like, for me, I was chosen to be part of a committee to write the mission statement, our mission statement for the company, for that branch of the company. And I remember I was putting it off for so long because I had this fear of like not being able to like write it and come up with something.
Yeah. But are you scared? What exactly are you scared of? Are you scared of people saying? Like okay, so you're scared of people.
So it's kind of like the them not liking it will be the failure part, right? Like, oh, I failed. Like, I guess I'm not as good as this as I thought I was. But that didn't happen. So I sat down and I wrote it. I got through it. And what happens with that is that I think the reason why I sat down and I finally wrote it is because I had a deadline, and I take that really seriously. And I thought about there's two things that happen that you can choose. Like, it's like you think about what will happen if you do it and it goes wrong, or what happens if you don't do it, and then you weigh them. So what happens in my mind when I did the both, what happens if I don't do it? Those repercussions far outweigh the repercussions of if I did do it and it didn't go well.
Right.
So, and that's another key too. Like yeah. And like, and honestly, and that's what will move you beyond fear is that line of thinking. Like, okay, so what happens if I do it? That's all. What happens if I do it? Okay, this person, I'm going to be laughed at. They're going to think I'm, not as business savvy as I say I am. Or what happens if I don't do it?
Right.
No one ever thinks so. What happens if you don't do this?
And we all have done stuff where we have not succeeded the way that we wanted to. And for me, that's when I beat myself up the most. Like, I should have done it. Why didn't I do it? Even with going out on an audition, if I don't walk in there and I actually go back home, in my mind, I am, why did I do that? Right. What's wrong with me? Oh, that's a big one. What's wrong with me? Why can't I do these things that I say I'm going to do? And I think that's worse than one or two people being like, oh, we could have done better.
Exactly. And like those times when you didn't text me for some reason
I
and
always
you did
text
walk out on the audition.
Oh, don't talk about it.
If you just would have sat and thought, what happens if I walk out? How would that make me feel? What would the things be? And honestly, it'll be 1, you'd regret it.
Oh, big time.
2, you know that you would have killed it. Like, you know what I mean? 3, you can think about how your life would remain the same and how you didn't grow as a person because of not doing it. Like, these are all the important things to think about when you're stuck and trapped in that fear mentality. How do you get beyond that? And that's something that works.
And the moment that you do decide to walk away is the moment that you are deciding to settle and not move forward.
Settle for staying the same. Can you like really think about that? Like if there's something that you want to do, a business you want to start, a YouTube channel you want to create, can you think about like, you know, that's all meant, like that's put within you, like that's your intuition saying these are the things you need to do to grow, to expand as a person. And if you don't do these things, or being constantly like in limbo, like you're doing it, but you're not really doing it.
Right.
Like that's as worse as not doing it at all,
right,
because
exactly.
you keep on talking about doing it, but you're never really push yourself enough beyond that threshold to actually manifest what it is.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then that moves into our huge one,
okay.
Michelle.
Okay, what is
The
it?
huge one is
Tell me.
fear of other people's remarks and criticism. Can we talk
that
about
ties in
that?
with the failure. Oh, this is the worst one. Even with like Facebook, you don't get the likes that you want, or you don't get, you know, the hearts or the smiley faces or the laugh or the, you know, just on one of your posts. Okay, so I'm not going to call her out, but a girlfriend of mine tells me that if she posts something, it could be the most mediocre, thing. It could be about anything. If she does not get at least 10 likes, she will delete that post. And let's not act like we all don't do that.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because
it's almost like she's embarrassed of what she. But why post?
You know what I think it
proud.
is too. I think it's like this, like, okay, so interesting, because I like Gary Vee. You listen to Gary Vee sometimes too, right? Mm-hmm. And someone posed that question to him. They're like, listen, you know, what happens with social media? And a lot of the younger generation, they just say, okay, well, if I don't get X amount of likes, like your girlfriend, then I'm taking it down. And he's like, what's wrong with that? He says, what's wrong with that?
Right.
He's like, because you want to curate what other people see. Isn't that the entire point? It's like, what is the point of
putting
social
up a facade
media? That is the point, right?
But
Don't you feel that
the
way?
The question, too, I think, is why do we need validation on social media?
Let me tell you why. We both know why.
We've talked about this.
Yeah, we have. We've talked about this so much. I feel like a lot of us... like, for instance, like, let's just take my social. It's pretty light, right? Mm-hmm. I have a light social media presence because I don't know. I have a very light social media presence, but actually that's something that I'm changing this year. That's another intention that I'm setting, and we'll talk about that later in the show.
Because your light social media presence isn't because people aren't asking. It's just because you are. You know, you're
because I'm focused
choosing,
on a different goal. Like, okay, so for instance,
it's not that important.
Social media, like it requires it's time.
Time, exactly.
And how my mind is set up, I'm more set up on actually like and not saying that social media isn't the real world, but I enjoy interacting with human beings face to face,
being in the actual moment.
And until I can get my mind out of feeling like I'm posting and there's no one out there, like what am I even posting to? The ether, like, you know, like who am I talking to? But I think what I'm doing to what I thought about when I was setting my intentions for 2018 was how to undo that in my mind is to act like it's a journal. Because if I act like it's a journal, because I we would always journal. I journaled so much from high school. I journal. Actually, I think my mom read some of them, but
Stop it, Mom.
When I went away to college, I remember, wait a minute, those weren't there.
I'm bringing her back.
Those
go back.
weren't there. Let me go. But no, I like to journal and I like to write out like my thoughts that way. And then I feel like, and that's what a lot of people do. Like everyone loves that vulnerability. So regardless, now then in my mind, it might be like, okay, well, that only got 8 likes and that really mattered a lot to me. But eventually they will find you. Like eventually you'll find your tribe. Eventually you'll find the people that actually appreciate your content that you're producing. And it is kind of like, oh, I want more people because you follow these others. They get to over 1 million likes for Beyonce, but that's Beyonce.
And those people are not afraid of what the comments are going to be like, are not afraid of the direct messages that are nasty. You know, they post everything and let go. A lot of people turn off their DMs, like where you cannot message them at all. That's what I would do.
Yeah, you can't message them at all. And then they have staff like looking at the comments and reading some of the comments and removing some that or blocking people who post something negative.
Yeah, deleting it. Right.
Yeah,
right.
To do.
I think that is detrimental. If you read a comment that is just not in your favor. For me, if somebody posts something that is really negative about me personally, I really take that to heart. I honestly take it to heart. And in my mind, I'm like, I shouldn't be taking this to heart, but that's something that's tough. How do you not? Mm-hmm. Unless you are obviously blocking it or not, reading it yourself. So
exactly.
And right now,
but here's the thing. Let's be real. Like, forget about the likes are important. We get that, and sometimes that is a deterrent, and that is we care about what other people say because you know why. What they say is just that how all the social media, what that does is that it gives you a dopamine rush. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. So a like is a dopamine. It's a rush of dopamine. It's like popping that pill, taking that injection, right? That's what it is. No.
I absolutely agree.
Study this. This is the reason why it's set up the way it is because it makes us want to stay there, like a casino. So a lot of it's so interesting.
You can create your own life, right?
Right. So
your own fake life as well.
Yeah, exactly. So what it is that you want that hit of dopamine. Right. That's why you want the likes because you want the positive comments because it's that hit of dopamine that we're so used to getting.
And how good do you feel when somebody says, "Oh wow, you were spot on that," or "Your face is beautiful"? Goodness, girl.
You're like, oh, thanks.
Thank you. Oh, me? No, no way.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, and I think
it's good to have every now and then.
Yeah, like this is the issue. It's labeling things good or bad. Because what happens with that is that when there are things that are bad, it hinders you from doing anything at all. Like, forget about the likes. You just don't want the people who don't like, so you don't even put anything up. Isn't that crazy?
Exactly. So then you're right. Okay.
But Marcel, let's be honest and let's be real. This intimate conversations, and then I want to move on to Sarah's segment. She's so awesome, and I can't wait to play it. But Marcel and I had a YouTube channel called The Daily Dose with Tia Marcel, and we were so hype about it. I mean, we will post videos.
I'm still hype about it. What do you mean, girl? We're gonna get back.
We will get back, but we will post videos every week, and it was just commentary on what was happening.
It was so much fun. We were showing our shoes, and come on, it was fun.
No, we had a great time. It was a really great show. It was maybe 10 minutes or less, but it was a great show, and I'm gonna actually post a couple of videos up if you want to check them out. Those are the days, right? But I mean, there was a point where we started to get comments, not even on social media, just in real life. Just in life. People were talking to Marcel about, oh my God, why did you do that? Or why did she laugh that way? Or and then I would get comments. And so it's it kind of deterred us from continuing it because it's wow, is it
right.
worth
Well, then
it?
Why are we posting it? Right. So, but we did have those people who were like, we love you guys. You're so funny. So how do you outweigh the pros and the cons of, negative and positive comments?
One is get over yourself.
Right.
That's the one. Let's get over ourselves. Let's know that not everyone is going to like us. Not everyone is going to love us. There's going to be people who love us And
those people should inspire you to keep doing what you're doing.
That, like, you should be focused on that. And honestly, you take the people who don't like you. I would listen to what they're saying.
Constructive criticism. Yeah.
If they're not trolling,
trolling is a whole other.
Then you
problem.
can take it as constructive criticism, like Michelle just said, right? Like, I kind of feel like
I think you need that too in order to grow. I mean, how do you fix some of the things that the people who are always positive aren't necessarily going to tell you? How do you improve on those things? I mean, I think the people who are brutally honest are the ones who are telling you the truth in some ways.
Well, but this is the life that we live in. It's the world of dichotomy. It's always like it's the yin and yang, the black and white, the good, the bad.
That's how you deal with them. Is how you're going to succeed.
It's a balance of both. You take the balance of both, and that's when you start shining. But I want to get into playing the segment. So Michelle and I were kind of like tapping.
Of shining.
Yeah, exactly. Michelle and I, we were kind of talking about like your mental health, right? like your mental care, you know, how can you overcome some of these obstacles to actually manifesting your intention, or manifesting, if you still want to set a resolution, that's fine. But Sarah's going to talk about you know, you want to be beautiful on the inside and on the outside. And she has some practical, like really interesting, actually really creative tips she gives. So,
yay, I'm excited for this.
Yeah, so I want to play Sarah's Winter Survivor Guide. Here we go. This is our Trendsetter segment.
Winter. A time for cracked lips and dry skin. But not on my watch. Well, let me just introduce myself. I am the self-proclaimed beauty guru of your dreams. My name is Sara Flail, and I want to thank Tia for asking me to put together a little segment for you guys. I have a beauty YouTube channel, and I'm starting to incorporate some singing on that channel, but mostly I focus on beauty-related topics. So here we are, and I'll tell you a little bit more about my YouTube channel at the end of this segment. But guys, it's January 2018. Here we are. It's going to be a great year, and what better way to start off your year than focusing on you? So for my first segment with you guys here on Millennial High, I wanted to focus on kind of a winter survival guide for your skin, your hair, kind of head to toe. So let's start at the top. Here are a couple of my tips to get your hair through winter. Number 1, try not to wash your hair frequently. I usually try and wash mine about 1 to 2 times a week. And the reason for that is that the oils in your hair, your naturally occurring oils in your scalp, they're so good for your hair, and it's going to help protect your hair from the harsh conditions that we have here right now. My next tip, you want to apply some kind of hydrating treatment. It can be an oil, it can be like a leave-in conditioner type thing, but you always want to apply something like that, especially after you get out of the shower. On days that you might not be washing your hair, you can focus and oil more on the ends. That way you're not going to get that greasy look throughout. That is super important. And another big tip, dry shampoo is your best friend. I try not to use it too much because it does kind of soak up those natural oils, but you know, when you're trying to get through day 4, mama needs some dry shampoo. I highly recommend when you do wash your hair, try not to use a shampoo with sulfates. You want to avoid that. They're super drying. They're not good for your hair. For conditioner, you want to use a deep conditioning conditioner. So for example, I buy a mask, a deep conditioning mask, and I apply that as my conditioner while I'm showering. I don't use a regular conditioner. And you know, you might think it might be more expensive, but again, I'm only washing my hair 1 or 2 times a week. So for me, getting that mask and doing it every time I'm in the shower after I wash my hair, I get really good results with that. And then I have another tip, which is kind of a random tip, but It's cold out, okay? So you're not going to catch me walking in the cold without a hat on. Like, I'm not going to do it, especially on those below zero, windy days. Forget about it. I don't care how good my hair looks. So a trick that I had come up with earlier this year, I mean, I'm going to take credit for it. I'm sure it's existed for a long time, but this is me. This is my tip. If you can, if your hairstyle allows, and you're going to put on a hat, flip your part before you put your hat on. So let's say I normally part my hair on the right. Before I put my hat on, I'm going to part my hair on the left, put my hat on, and then by the time I get to wherever I'm going and I take off my hat and I re-flip my part back, I'm going to have more volume than when I started out with, and I'm avoiding hat hair. So I kind of think I'm a genius for that. You can let me know if you agree, but I'm pretty confident about that one. All right, so let's move on to some tips for your face. And guys, I'm looking at you too, okay? Skincare is important for everyone. So number 1, cleanser. So a lot of cleansers can be really harsh and drying on your skin. So I use something called micellar water, and it uses these, it's like oil particles called micelles, I'm pretty sure. You just kind of pour a little bit on a cotton round and you just gently wipe off your face. There's no splashing of water. There's no extra drying. So my point of all of this is be considerate when picking out your cleanser. Go for a micellar water. Go for an oil-based cleanser. If you hear the word oil, don't get scared with oil on your face. There's a lot of oils that don't clog your pores. There are some that do, including coconut oil, actually, which I learned. And moisturizer. For me, my winter moisturizer is not my summer moisturizer. It's so dry. It's going to be something thicker, something richer. It's not going to be a light, lotiony type feeling. It's going to be a denser cream. I use a moisturizer that has oils in it. Argan oil is great, vitamin E. You want to look for those heavier moisturizers in the winter. Something that's really going to, create a healthy skin barrier. Keep your hydration in. Another tip, so let's say you love your summer moisturizer. Nothing wrong with that. Keep using it. But if you're getting a little dry, you can always open up a vitamin E capsule. You can pop that in, do a little dollop in your hand of some moisturizer, add a little vitamin E, mix that together, and you're going to get that extra hydration. You can also do that with any other kind of oils that you find work for your skin. You cannot forget your lips. My favorite kind of lip balm would be one that has coconut oil, shea butter, vitamin E. Again, these are all really hydrating and good for the winter months. So liquid lipsticks are really popular and I love them, but those are pretty drying. So I'm not saying don't wear them. I'm just saying you want to treat your lips kindly before and after. So what I mean is, you want to apply that lip balm. Let's say when you're doing the rest of your makeup, apply your lip balm when you moisturize. And it's time to apply your liquid lipstick, your lips will have absorbed a lot of that balm. And if not, just blot it off a little bit, but you're at least setting yourself up for more success. Another tip is at the end of the day, you can use a lip scrub. I really tend to prefer the lip scrubs that are sugar, that have oils in them as well. So if you're noticing a theme here, oil is your friend in the winter. So with lip scrubs like that, you are kind of buffing away some of that dryness, but you are hydrating at the same time. And I want to focus on the rest of your body. I had noticed over the last, over years, my skin does the same thing every single winter. And I'm talking about my arms and my leg. Gets these red bumps, discoloration, dryness, flakiness. And by the time spring comes around, I'm putting my shorts on for the first time and I have all these red blotchy marks all over my legs and I'm just like a full mess. And it's something that a little bit of moisturizer starting out in springtime is not going to take care of. So I want to avoid letting my skin get to that point throughout the year. And so something that I tried last year was a sugar scrub. And guess what was in it? You're right. It was oil. So and at the end of this, I was going to let you guys know you can go head over to my YouTube channel and I'm going to have a corresponding video to this segment where I'm going to show you the more specific products that I use. The sugar and oil scrubs for your body, for me, was a game changer. Last spring, I remember putting on shorts for the first time and being like, oh my gosh, My legs survived winter. I had great skin when it was time for spring. It was moisturized due to that oil. And then the key is when you do use products like this, when you get out of the shower, you don't want to like rub your towel all over yourself. You kind of want to do more of a pat situation so you're not rubbing off all that oil. But I think the combination of exfoliation and moisturization, that is what worked for me and my body. I guess a little bonus tip would be if your hands are just like trashed. Number one, lay off the hand sanitizer. It is alcohol. It is drying. Another point about alcohol, a lot of toners, well, not a lot, but some toners, cleansers, setting sprays have alcohol in them. You don't want to be using alcohol on your face. I would say ever, like I wouldn't put alcohol on your face like anyway, but especially in winter when you're trying to preserve the moisture in your face. Oh, but back to the hands. I was like, what am I talking about? There is nothing wrong with heading over to Dollar Tree, getting yourself a pair of gloves. You don't need to go buying any bougie gloves, like moisturizing gloves. Just go get some cotton gloves. Cover your hands in moisturizer. Pop those gloves on. In the morning, your hands are going to feel so much better. You do the same thing on your feet. It just traps, by using socks and gloves on top of moisturizer, it's just going to lock in all of that hydration, and that is what you want. So winter is the time for you to hydrate. Being hydrated starts on the inside. So just keep that in mind. Drink that water. So anyway, that's it for me this time. I want you to check out my YouTube video that goes along with this segment. I'm going to be sharing the specific products that I like, and I'm going to be doing one of my favorite winter makeup looks. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Sara Flail.
And we are back. This is your host, tia-shashai. I'm in the studio with Marcel.
Hey, girl.
And you just heard Sara Flail. I love her. She's
How
so
cute
awesome.
is she? Oh, my goodness. When she was talking about the hair mask, which I do on my daughter, not washing her hair only 1 or twice a week. I mean, that's key to my daughter's hair because she's got Josh's hair, and we all know Josh's hair is curly hot mess, frizzy hot mess. And then the sugar lip exfoliator. Oh, these tips were awesome.
Lip exfoliators, because that's one thing too. Because if you don't clip your lips right,
oh girl, nobody wants chapped lips.
With that lipstick, you cannot put lipstick on chapped lips.
Oh, and you know what else you can't put on chapped lips? Lip stains, because they will darken on the spot that's the driest. Oh man, oh I've done that. Oh, that's a disaster.
Oh, so that was good. Sara, the beauty guru of your dreams. And I cannot wait for her to come back on the show, because we're going to do this maybe like once a month or something like that. I'll talk to her about it, but I loved her segment, and she's so cool.
Cute and funny.
Definitely. Sara did a corresponding YouTube video with this. Like, oh, nice. And it is awesome. She's gorgeous in it.
Oh, her hair's so cute
I'm
too.
going to post it on my page and post it. The link will be in the bio on IG too. But let's go back. Thank you so much, Sara, if you're listening. Sara, we love you. So we're going to talk about some like upbeat, uplifting things.
Exactly.
I guess because it sounds like, Tia, that felt kind of like heavy to me in the beginning. Right. I'm like, I got it, but sometimes you got to get that stuff out, because we can all talk about new year, new me, but we really want there to be a new you. So how do you overcome those fears? So now let's talk about
the positive.
And
okay, so let's talk. Okay, what I want to talk about is what fuels our fire, and then we can go into setting our 2017 intentions. Because if you're constantly comparing yourself and setting yourself up for failure, we've got to have some sort of New Year intention that can be reached that we want to. Let's talk about. This is specifically for Tia and I. So what is her New Year intention and what's mine? But let's first talk about what gets you motivated. What gets you out of the bed in the morning when it's 20 degrees out and you've got to get up on a Sunday morning? What exactly motivates you to get up?
The love I have for what I'm doing right now.
That's so funny you'd say that. I wrote that down because I knew you were going to look and love the love yet love. I wrote it down.
She knows me too well.
I knew it. And I bet you another thing is music. Because if you have a great song, that this morning I was driving down here, I was tired, and I'm having these things with inflammation on my face that I was told Tia, I was like, I can't wear makeup today. I was so sad about it. But I got in the car and I started listening to my favorite songs, and I was dancing like you wouldn't believe, which you shouldn't do behind the wheel, but I still did it, sorry. And I walked in here and I was so excited, especially to see Tia, because she motivates me. She's another thing that motivates me. So, I mean, those are the things I love as well, like Tia said.
Yeah, and also, too, just knowing that something great is happens all the time when I'm doing what I love.
Exactly.
Even that, like, inspires me and motivates me to just, like, let's get this done. And to be honest, it's like I kind of get, I go on, like, hyperdrive sometimes because... Honestly, when I'm working on the show, I can do hours, an entire day can go by, and I look up, I'm like, oh, it's 10 o'clock, like at night, really?
Time to go to bed. Oh, I have to
it's like really, I got up at 8 a.m. and then I'm working on the show, and I could do this. Like, this is what I could do, and that's so important too. So when you're out there, and let's just say like you don't have like the 9 to 5 and you're not like loving it as much. So to me is like what gets you up, because that 9 to 5 can be what funds, your passion projects, right. So just get up and go. Even that, like when I get up in the morning during the weekday, like that's in my mind, like, okay, well, I'll be able to have, be able to support my lifestyle from getting up and showing up to work.
Yeah, it's something you have to do in order to live. But
yeah.
There are ways that you can be positive and find things that will motivate you to get through your day.
Yeah. And then also, too, like, and I want to add to that about when you're inspired and motivated to get up and, like, do the thing. You know what I mean?
Do the thing.
It's, always be present. Like, and whatever you do. Because sometimes you get distracted by, people or... Like for me, how I think, like it's kind of like a browser, like, like you have like 10 million tabs open. I feel like that's like my brain sometimes. Like I can really go from tab to tab and like talk on it and forget that I'm talking to another human being.
You have your own Wikipedia in your mind.
So it's also just stay present and what you're doing at the time. And then that leads to like a great outcome too. And that can help you with manifesting those intentions and, the outcome being like really, really great. So before we close up the show, we have 10 minutes. I know we want to go over like what our intentions are. Like what's one of your intentions, Michelle?
Okay. So a big thing for me is reflection and being stuck in my reflection, my past reflections, let's say. So, I always, previous New Year's resolutions, I'm going to say, were that I have to top my last year. And I'm not going to do that this year because my last year was actually pretty phenomenal for me, for my life. So I'm not going to say that I have to top my last year because I don't want to already set myself up for a possible failure. So I am going to, my intentions this year will be to stay positive and to welcome anything that comes my way, whether it's through auditions, whether it's through people talking to me. Any way that my life leads is where I'm going to follow, as I don't want to be stuck in my reflection, if that makes any sense.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense.
And I'm going to try to be a better wife because that'll save your marriage, I think.
Yeah, I like that you said, I don't want to feel stuck in my reflection.
I don't. I also don't want to keep looking at myself either in the mirror.
Yeah, because
I want to be positive.
Yeah, and I actually really like that. Stuck in my reflection. I really like that, Michelle. That's now going to be on my mind.
I worked really hard on that one.
Because you can get caught in that. Because right now, like even sometimes I do, like what I realized like this last few months is what I've been doing to myself. And that's just like, okay, stuck in like, oh man, remember at the beginning of 2016, what I could wear, what I look like.
Or what I did
or
at
what
this
I
moment,
did in this
but now
moment.
I'm not doing it. That's what I don't want to do. I don't want to say, well, this time last year I was doing the spring catalog for QVC, but now I'm not doing much of anything. And I don't want to by the end of 2018. If I haven't done all the things that I did in 2017, I don't want it to be an automatic, well, this year was a failure, because it's just a different path. Just different things have happened in my life. So it's not a failure. It's just a different year.
And if you do that, like, think about it, it's just more of the same. So I kind of feel like it'll manifest differently for you. So 2016 was QVC. It could be something else, because I feel like when you stay trapped in that, you're going to be missing out on maybe something bigger,
right, exactly,
and greater.
Right. And if I
keep
like, oh no, this isn't as good. Right.
No, yeah, and like, just that's why the intention setting is so great. So
what about
my
you?
intention is that I just intend to have a really great 2018 season of Millennial High. I intend to be open when it comes to collaborations and the guests that I have on my show. I intend to be more of an authority on a lot of the things that I know to be true within myself.
Yes.
So that's stepping out.
Stand.
Exactly. So that's what that looks like, is that stepping out and, doing more engagements. And I love the workshops. So it's kind of like, what does that look like now? Maybe going into a different platform, maybe being behind the camera. I'm behind the mic, maybe doing something behind the camera in 2018.
Yes.
So we'll just see how that feels. But before we close out the show, I just want to say thank you again to everyone listening. Thank you to Sara. I love Michelle. Thank you, Michelle, because anytime I call her up, she is always down, which I absolutely love. And I hope that you set your intentions for 2018 if you haven't already. And if you have, I would like you to revisit them, right? And see if we can incorporate some of the tips and tricks that Michelle gave us. And also for the skin and beauty care, definitely incorporate a lot of the things that Sara helped us discover, and we can put in our winter survival guide kit. Right. Michelle, any last words for you before we close out?
No, I everything that you've said, phenomenal, Tia. I love you. And I think that this year already, just with today, you are so upbeat, and just with the intro, everything is going to be, I'm so excited for you.
I love that you said the intro music.
I love it.
By Marty Kraswanis. And like I said, I love my intro. I'm so excited. And I believe in you. Stay lit, love inspired, and true. Until next time, I have my girl Delilah Robin coming up next. So stay locked, and we'll hear from Michelle again next week. We have a really cool show. So it's like going with the New Year's theme of like fitness and health, and also like mental health. So we'll talk about like yoga and like aligning your chakras. So I think that's going to be really cool. So until then, let's hear Justin Timberlake Filthy. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.